All right, then I want to make a motion.
Yeah. So we have, we've moved executive session up to this time of the evening. Can I have a motion to adjourn to executive session for the purpose of the setting a price for the sale of property owned by the city? The mayor has also requested that IG Trucking be present in executive session.
Mr. Mayor,
Motion.
before I make a motion, I have to express my concern, and I believe other aldermen have the same concern, that we would like to meet in executive session as elected officials and staff that are usually present in executive session without outsider attendance, at least initially, at the initial part of the meeting. And I speak for myself, my colleague aldermen, if they feel the same way, can speak for themselves.
Well, let's have a motion, let's have a second, any more discussion, and we vote. So,
Okay,
whatever you want.
I so move then.
Well, okay. A second, then discussion?
Well, is the motion is on what am I just requesting?
Are you moving to go to executive session with the presence of IG Trucking, or are you moving to adjourn to executive session? With just elected officials and
With
select
just
staff?
elected officials and staff.
Okay,
Second.
okay, and then discussion. And then discussion, any further discussion?
I would just add that I concur with Alderman
Well, you're already
This guy.
voting, so thank you.
Alderman
Did a
Rosenthal.
good job.
Am I still allowed to speak? I just wanted to clarify that I think it could imply some kind of impropriety if we're meeting with just one party and not the other. So I don't want to give that appearance, and so that, I just wanted to explain, that's my reason for wanting to move into executive session, just
All right.
as the council.
Okay, thank you, but we did meet with the other party in executive session also.
We've met with both in the past, but they've both given their presentation.
Thank you, you voted against it. What else do we need to do?
If I could say my piece, please. I believe that we've heard from both parties, and there's just no reason to bring any of those parties back in to executive session. There's nothing that's going to...
Well, I did write an email to all of you, and none of you responded. The email was specific. I wanted them to come into executive session because they had 14 points on the contract, 13, 14, 5 or 6 were fine with our attorneys. Would you kindly wait a moment, please? We're fine with our attorneys, and I would have liked to have just settled those questions in executive session as quickly as possible. If that's not what you read, that's certainly what I meant. Yes, sir.
With all due respect, Mayor, I know I specifically answered your email that I had a problem with that, and I believe I saw copies from 2 other aldermen whose emails said the same thing.
Myself included.
All right, well, I mean, the voting's already been done.
Well, we need to take, we have a motion, we have a second.
We need to take the vote.
Right.
Roll call, please.
Alderman Ludwigson,
Aye?
Alderman Dolick,
Aye.
Alderman Rosenthal,
Aye.
Alderman Williamson.
Aye.
Motion fails,
No, passes.
passes to not have
Correct,
the IG company in executive session.
correct.
Hey, John.
Well, if we go to 14, new business, we have, and this had been tabled earlier, the resolution authorizing the sale of city property 25 and 35 Piper Lane to Connor Commercial Real Estate LLC for $2,730,000.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? There's a motion to approve, in which case I will also vote on this issue. Let's start the roll call, please.
Alderman Williamson,
Aye.
Alderman Rosenthal,
I vote aye, and I believe it is, I vote aye because it is in the best interest of the city and the community at large for having this transaction in place.
Alderman Dolick,
Aye.
Alderman Ludwigson,
I vote aye for the same reasons that Alderman Rosenthal stated.
and Mayor Helmer?
I vote no. This is probably the least attractive of the two deals, based on money, based on usage, based on size of the building, and based on the fact that it will create much more noise for the people that live at Quincy Park. And we're in a contract that can be stalled out, not necessarily by Connor, but by the state on an NFR letter, because the building is going right on top of the land that is encumbered by EPA problems. The other contract was a much smaller building, much less trucking and noise, closing their business at 6 o'clock every night and only working on Saturdays till 1 o'clock. Joe and I and Dan Peterson had a chance to visit with the owner, the principal today, and they run a nice operation. And I think they would have been a better choice. And there's other reasons too, but primarily the idea that our friends, relations at the fire department, at the school district, at a library, et cetera, might gain more tax revenue, as was discussed at the last meeting. In the future, these people are bringing no children to the front. Fire department probably has an interest in making sure they can protect their building. Their building, the IG building, would have been built on the far northeast corner of the land that we have, meaning that they wouldn't be anywhere near most of Quincy Park. They'd be farthest away. It's a small building. The other building is 135,000 square feet. It's almost 40 feet tall, very visible from everywhere on the land, and being built right on top of the EPA problem. They were also paying $1 million more and $500,000 up front. Today, they agreed to pay the whole $1 million up front if that's what it took to get their location. They run a clean operation. They're people that are serious people that would have liked to have been in the city of Prospect Heights and be good neighbors to all their surrounding. They were going to build a berm. I don't see that in the contract. They were going to build a 10-year sound attenuation. I don't see that in the contract that you're approving tonight. And lastly, but very emphatically, I will not vote for this issue. Counselor?
So, just to be clear, is that a no, or you're choosing not to vote on this issue?
I will not vote to approve the issue under AR 18-14, sale of the building to Connor. We don't even know what Connor's going to do with that building. They're not going to keep it. They're going to sell it. And then what do we have? We have an issue.
So, Mayor,
now.
you brought up the about Quincy Park being right there. You are aware that, I mean, I received multiple phone calls from people asking us to accept the Connor agreement over the IG agreement. Are you aware of that?
No, I'm not, because no one talks to me on this council. I don't get any phone calls.
Our last meeting, who came
I
here,
got 3 phone calls, by the way.
who
And
said
2
that
of
same
them
thing.
were against any automobile type, truck type development. The other one simply said, you know, I don't think we should have trucks there, but can't you get rid of the airplane noises that are coming from Milwaukee Airport? So that's the calls I got. I had no reports from you, Alderman Ludwigson, no reports from any other alderman that people were against this.
Well,
And just earlier, let me finish,
yeah,
please. Just earlier, I said, even a person like John, our senator that passed away, said that you've got to do things for the greater good. You can't take, not in my backyard attitudes and forward them. We are going to, and tonight I announced for a new term, and I presume I'm going to win. That's why I announced it. But on the other hand, we're going to have to deal with this. There will be much more noise. They have a 24-hour operation, what I remember, whereas these other people do not. They're not there after 6 p.m. Not only that, I believe there was parking for 250 cars. Can you imagine the traffic going out to Wolf Road when people come to work or leave work? Have you thought of any of these things?
I don't know if he realizes what's going on.
Are you guys talking, or are you waiting?
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out, I mean, this can't, did IG propose bringing in a monastery or something? Because that's not, I heard there were going to be 175 trucks. So, I mean, I don't know what you're talking about.
Trucks, they do not repair, they don't do air
That
conditioning.
they move there and park there and don't move from that location?
That's it, yes.
That's kind of an odd
Well,
business
it's
model.
too bad, because you were all invited to go meet the principal and.
Mr. Mayor, you spent the
not-
better part
You're
of a year,
interrupting me.
yeah, I know, because you've been talking for 15 minutes.
No,
You
I
spent
have
the
not.
better part of a year trying to convince me to accept the Connor deal. Go back if they want to read minutes, if there's executive session minutes that are open. You've spent the better part of a year to try to convince me to go
That's
with
all we
Connor.
had.
Now, on something you tell me you got last night, you're telling us we should change our vote on something that we have no copy of and haven't seen. That the whole idea of this thing is so shady, it isn't even funny. That you would ask us to vote on, to not vote on this, to go with that, and you're just getting this information last
Well, you know,
night.
these people came in after Connor.
I've always said we shouldn't sell the property. I think we should hold on
You
to it.
changed your mind, isn't that
You changed
amazing?
my mind. You changed my mind, Mr. Mayor. You told me how great this project was.
Right. The issue really is that this is a bad situation that you possibly, if you're reelected, have to live with. And that's not right for the people that live there. That's who I'm concerned about. I just don't think that no truck repair from the standpoint of refrigeration units, they don't repair refrigeration units, for example. Stereo, of course, does. So we know what, you know, it can be, what noises we can look forward to. Not only that, Alderman, you reported at least a year ago that Stereo Trucking, to get another aside, another picture of this, isn't even allowed to have trucking on that land. And
Correct.
What have we
Correct.
done about it? Nothing.
I've asked you to do something about it.
I'm gonna do it.
What, you're going to remove the
You're
trucks?
barking off the wrong tree here. You have a city administrator, you have a planning and zoning. Why wouldn't there have been a tax amendment? Why wouldn't there have been a B4, correct zoning? Why did that happen? You were on board.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I've asked for those trucks to be removed. When Sterry first came here, you told us it was only going to be refrigeration truck repair. It blossomed into a 100-truck storage location. I have no idea what you're talking about. You're not making any sense to me right now.
All right, let's make some sense. Did you not tell us a year ago that there is no zoning that they have to operate trucking operations?
We said that if IG came in, we'd have to give them a special use to park trucks
Right.
there. That is zoned the same as the other one.
All right, but special use should have gone to Sterry also, and didn't. And a tax amendment should have gone there also, and it hasn't. The new companies both.
Unfortunately, you painfully tell me every meeting I don't set the agenda. Only you can put these things on the agenda, Mr. Mayor.
I don't do the agenda, thank you.
You don't?
You've said this so many times, and I think Joe could
You don't
attest
do
to
the
that.
agenda, who does?
Pardon?
You don't do the agenda?
I don't.
You don't?
I review what Joe writes down.
So you've
yes.
never added anything to an agenda or taken anything?
Sometimes,
Okay, so you've had a year
but I
to add all
don't
this
do the
stuff.
agenda, and I haven't done the agenda for years. So I don't know who you're, talking to, because you sure won't come talk to me. You haven't for 8 years? Wow. And
Now I see why.
well, you don't care to talk to me.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I received, to the best of my recollection, and I checked my computer today just to make sure, 10 different phone calls and a dozen emails from that area, all uniformly saying, don't put the trucks in.
I received the same emails and the same phone calls. I'm assuming, Matt, you received those and more, and they were sent out to everybody. So when you say you've only heard from 3 people, Mr. Mayor, I believe you didn't check your email and you didn't listen to your voicemail, because they reached out to everybody.
Thank
And
you.
if I could-
I read all my emails.
If I could just make one last
But,
comment. I have-
well, let me just add to this issue. You heard it from 20, 25, probably the same people. There are 1,200 people living there. Why aren't they all here tonight?
You know what, well, no, Mr. Mayor, in marketing activities, when you get a call from one, there are 10 other people. The marketeers and the salespeople will tell you there are 10 other people who've chosen not to call, not because they are
Well-
opposed to it.
All I'm saying is, I think this is a wrong decision for many reasons, not just one, not just for my feelings, not just for the money. They're the wrong people to occupy. We have a better choice, which we didn't have up front. We didn't have that choice up front. And the shame of it really is that none of you went to see the principal, shake his hand and say, hey, what are you planning over at, over in Prospect Heights?
I went to see his property in
Yeah,
Addison.
okay.
As did I.
You drove around the front of the place and left.
You are entirely wrong. Let me answer how I went there. I went there, I drove around the front, I drove onto the lot, I stayed on the lot for a while they were doing their activity. There was a significant amount of noise, and this was actually during the early afternoon there, and the noise was coming from repairs that they were making. What repairs they were making, I don't know, but there was enough noise that would have definitely carried a long distance. That is an area that is not residential. I tried to drive around there, and it took me about a mile or so driving from there to find the first residence. So please don't tell me what I did do and what I didn't do. I know what I did.
If I could add one last comment, please.
Yes, sir.
First of all, I do strongly feel that this is a better match for that area. But just to add, I did meet with members from IG Trucking on site at the property that's for
At
sale
our
on-
site.
At our site. I gave them a tour of the north side of Quincy Park so that they understood the full situation. They invited me to ride with them to personally tour their facility in Addison, I believe it is. I discussed that with Joe Wade, and that seemed to be inappropriate, so I went to their facility on my own. I did not get their personal tour, but I experienced the same thing. I did go to the facility. So I feel like I did do my homework. I looked at all sides of this. I received numerous phone calls and emails from my residents. The ones that I spoke to, which were many of them, they said that they contacted all of the aldermen and you. It doesn't make any sense to say how many emails or phone calls you made. I don't know. But many of them said that they went down the line with all of the aldermen and the mayor. So I'm going on representing the members and the residents from Ward 5. I also look at what's best for the city overall, but there are a lot of factors involved in that, not just the dollar sign at the end. And I feel that I made the right decision in my vote, and I'm very comfortable with that. But I did do my homework, and I tried to make the best decision, and I'm comfortable with the decision that I made.
So in 200 days, which is on the contract, no FAR letter comes out. What's going to be your next step? To give them another extension for 6 months? You've given them an extension for 6 months. This is not 2 weeks.
I'm comfortable with my decision there.
Okay.
Mayor, if I can make my comments for the record, please.
I'm sorry you're not on the air, but you can step up after we're done if you like. We'll invite comments, but go ahead. Yes, sir.
To expand on what Alderman Dolick has said, I too visited the site, took a look at it. It wasn't quite what I was expecting or what I was used to. And I have worked with several of these in the past. However, the 5 of the 6 decision makers have been in discussions about this, talking about both IG and Connor for the better part of a month now. And the five of us have really come to a consensus that we felt the Connor McShane deal was a better, cleaner deal. It wasn't just a selling price, $3.75 million versus $2.75 million. We also took into consideration what is a excuse me, better use for the community, what would help enhance the area, what are the liabilities associated with the use, and what are the long-term benefits associated with each one. When you're talking about Connor McShane, yeah, their purchase price is $2.75 million, but over the course of time, that $2.75 million actually equates to be more down the road in monies to the community than the IG trucking deal. Okay, and it's based on them developing 444,000 plus square foot of property, which is going to bring in, based on their estimates, 200,000 plus in annual tax revenue versus 25% of that from a much smaller building in an underdeveloped piece of property. So over the course of 5 years, based on the deal that was in place, they're both going to be on equal footing at $3.5 million. Okay? Based on the next 5 years, McShane will outpace the contribution to the community by $100,000 a year. So after 20 years, we're actually $2 million ahead versus the IG trucking deal. So I don't know that there's really a question of what's better for the community. So with that, I've made my decision and we'll move forward.
Decision is obvious, it's already been taken. How long have you been in real estate?
How long have you been in this branch of real estate?
54 years.
I'm pretty sure you
Big
haven't been doing
boxes.
trucking and industrial buildings.
We have those too, yes. We have a whole industrial division.
Your
I am-
company does, not
My
Nick
company
Nolan.
does, right. I'm very familiar with that. And I'm not in your business, you're a graduate engineer. I think I remember that, is that correct?
Okay. Point is,
You are a graduate engineer
point is,
from Michigan.
point is.
Right, I would come to you if I were looking for engineering type advice. You've never come to me. I've been here 8 years.
In fact, I did come to you, and to echo the sentiments of Alderman Ludwigson, you spent a year pushing the Connor deal.
That's all we had.
My dream for this parcel, obviously, and I've said it many, many times over 8 years, is that I thought it should be a community campus. It should be the village hall. It should be the police station. It should be the fire department and public works. But nobody bought into that idea, and I'm fine, You win some, you lose some. But you know what? I look at this, and I look at a deal where they're going to touch 444,000 square feet. They're going to put new building. They're going to put new landscaping. It's going to have a whole new vantage point, a new viewpoint from Palatine Road. And it could be a catalyst for further development, further positive development versus more trucking. Okay, if you drive down Palatine Road and you're looking at truck parking, boy, that makes you want to build there. Okay, it doesn't. And for you to say that Connor is going to have a 24-hour operation, well, that's just a false statement. They don't have any operation at this point. So how can you say that? Now, I ask you the question, how can you say that?
Well, what do you think they're going to do, run a vacant building?
Okay, what makes you think it's going to be a 24-hour operation?
They stated that when they were here.
They never stated that.
That's what I remember.
They never even told you who was going to be in there because they don't know yet.
And that
So,
worries me a
made
lot.
You made a whole slew of false statements to help support your argument. And, why you were trying to upset a potential buyer is beyond me. But on behalf of the council, I'd like to say that you do have our full support. So,
You are a graduate engineer, aren't you?
yes, what is your point?
Well, you don't say yes. My point is, I'm having a hard time.
Nick, where are you going with this? I mean, how is this relevant to the argument?
Well, I want to know if I can come to you. I would only go to a graduate engineer.
Nick, I wouldn't work with you on any other level if you paid me to. So, thank you very much.
Takes pressure off me, thank you. We had a vote, it was 4 to 1, and what is the next step?
That takes care of that item. So